The Wisdom of Paul Brunton. Where can I look for spiritual guidance? Quest Video Series 1, Video number 3, presented by the Paul Brunton Philosophic Foundation. What is it that has turned people's hearts towards religion, mysticism, philosophy since time immemorial? Their aspiration towards the diviner life is unconscious testimony to its existence. It is the presence within us of a divine soul which has inspired this turning, the divine life itself in our heart that has prompted our aspiration. When we forget it, we are reminded of our divine linkage to them. Prophets and teachers, sages and saints have come among us in all times to speak of that inner reality which they have found. I would be failing in a duty to those less fortunate if, through fear of being thought a boaster, I failed to state that my researches have led me to the certain discovery of the soul, or overself. Anyone may become an atheist or an agnostic and doubt the existence of their own soul, but no one need remain one. All that is required of them is to search for it patiently, untiringly, and unremittingly, strange as it may seem to those who have immersed themselves heavily in the body's senses, hard to believe as it may be to those who have lost themselves in the world's business, there is nevertheless a way up to the soul's divinity. Beginners cannot take their lessons from the skies. They have to find a teacher, even if only to impart the right atmosphere and inculcate the right ideas. Other results of associating with one who is more spiritually advanced are that it excites students to excel themselves, strengthens them in the resolve to pursue the quest, and fans the spark of longing for the divine. Take that person as your teacher whose character and mentality approach the ideal you have formed, and with whose doctrine and personality you feel in sympathy. Without this feeling of affinity and the considerable satisfaction which derives from it, you would be prudent to look elsewhere and not accept this person as guru. A student has a question for Anthony Damiani, a prominent teacher of Paul Brunton's ideas.
I asked Anthony if a different kind of teacher might give me a different kind of advice. And he said yes. But the point is, once a teacher is accepted and you get certain recognitions from within yourself, then it is wise to follow them. But if you don't get internal recognition within yourself that they are the teacher you've been looking for, it is just not going to help. There has to be a response in you.
The kind of master to seek will be a loving one, a master who is large-hearted enough to receive you in your weaknesses, foolishnesses, and all. A true teacher will practice the utmost self-abnegation and will seek and work for the day when his or her influence or interference are brought down to nothing. Such a teacher looks for no adoration, but rather directs it towards the disciple's own soul. The desire to deify their teachers has no place among philosophic ones. We look upon the teacher as a human, as one who incites us to seek the best and inspires us to self-improvement and guides us to the truth. But he or she is still someone to be respected, not a god to be worshipped. Teachers have their imperfections. The teacher can only help you to help yourself. Ultimately, it will be by your own efforts alone that you uncover the wisdom and beauty you are seeking, and which are even now within you. Such efforts, in order to be successful, must be courageous and continuous. Repeated failures should serve only to stimulate deeper determination. The seeker who is fumbling for the right direction to take should welcome the help of a competent guide. But where such a guide is not personally forthcoming, the best substitute is a personal disciple, or, failing that, a book written by him or her. The difficulty about finding a teacher need not be overrated. You have within yourself a ray of God, which is your own soul. If you pray to and beseech it constantly for guidance, it will surely lead you to all that you really need to know. The overself will not neglect determined seekers, and through circumstances, events, books, or otherwise, gives them the particular guidance or instruction needed at a particular time. Any book or person or art production which reminds you of your diviner self is, to that extent, your teacher. Any happening or event or experience which alienates you from such remembrance, whether it be regarded by the world as good or as evil, likewise is your teacher. Even your own unworthy actions will, because of the consequences to which they must infallibly lead, also be your teacher. The kingdom of heaven is within you, not somewhere else, not in an ashram, not even at the feet of a guru. Jesus' declaration is literally accurate. You should resolve to appeal directly by constant aspiration and prayer to your own higher self, in the knowledge that it alone can help if you are to work without a teacher. On the other hand, if their karma has decreed that they are to have a guide, their higher self will bring before them the mental image or intuitive thought of the master. If this happens, you will not need to seek out the master's physical person. The inner picture will bring results. Paul Brunton, 1898 to 1981, a best-selling British author of a dozen books, spent much of his early life researching the original sacred teachings of Western and Eastern spiritual traditions. He traveled the world to discover and communicate with Christian, Kabbalistic, Vedantic, Buddhist, Taoist, indigenous, and Sufi masters. Blending the richness of his own spiritual experience and inquiry with these ancient and contemporary teachings, he developed a philosophy and path of practice that suits life in the 21st century, one that expresses the greatest wisdom and love available to humankind. Regardless of how it is named, we each have a divine soul, an overself or higher self, that is with us here and now, waiting to be realized. Paul Brunton's writings are a source of deep spiritual guidance for all those interested in living a divinely inspired life. Anthony Damiani, 1922 to 1984, was a prominent teacher of Paul Brunton's ideas and founder of the Wisdom's Goldenrod Center for Philosophic Studies. inspired to penetrate into and understand the depths of traditional wisdom. He taught classes on the major philosophies, as well as the teachings of Paul Brunton. His dedicated students compiled the 16 volumes of Paul Brunton's posthumous writings, titled The Notebooks of Paul Brunton, available from www.larsonpublications.com. Quotes selected for this video were taken from The Notebooks of Paul Brunton, Volume Number 2, The Quest. When completed, the Paul Brunton Quest Series 1 and 2 will contain the following topics. Please subscribe to the Paul Brunton Philosophic Foundation channel.